You're only as good as your reference, so know your subject matter. In your process, your first idea is not the answer. The solution awaits many pages ahead once you've absorbed the reference material, you start drawing, and you start questioning your designs. Hi guys, welcome back. So I wanted to take a student prop that is being worked on inside class and in the workshop, and I wanted to talk about it and talk about how we can enhance it or make it better. So this is a house that's done, and yes, a house would qualify as a prop because it is something touched or used by a human hand. In fact, it's used by humans, right? So what I wanted to do is this is actually really nice work right here in terms of many factors. It's a nice presentation. It's headed down the right path. There's good indication about the structure, the living quarters, the area, all that type of stuff. However, though, let me show you this is the beginning, and then we'll come back and we'll look at where we're going to be at the end phase in about another week or so after this. Okay, so here's my main concern about this. The first thing that I noticed when I looked at this was all of this information that I'm going to give to you right now. Number one, let's talk about positives. As soon as I looked over here, in terms of the positives, really interesting, fun silhouette shape that's working there. Really fantastic, very cool. I like that a lot. I love smokestacks. Another positive, another smokestack there, another positive. In terms of detail, let's look at positives. Love the little window overhang, love the window cover, love the rope hanging down, the barrels, the little fire log. Excellent. Telling me lots of details about it. Okay. However, though, those are positives, right? Now, let me address a couple of the concerns I have that would be changes, okay? Now, some of these might apply more to me because these are things that come from my background and my experience that I'm looking at. But let me throw those at you. Number one is when I looked at this view, boom, too much symmetry right there. Do you see that? It's split right down the middle. So when I looked at this view right here, my first thing my eye did was split this, come over, come over here, split that, and split that right down, and there's just way too much symmetry. You see that? In fact, the majority of the structure is based off of some type of symmetrical form. To me, that's overkill. You don't need it. We could improve upon that, right? Another thing that was a possible negative as coming from the industry and always thinking about scale and interaction and what people are doing is if I have a character that's standing about right there, which is about their height, and if I come over here and I draw through that door to about right there, in order for the character to get up to here, you'd have to have stairs. So if I drew just from here and put stairs going up like this, you know, it takes up quite a bit of room. And if I didn't have stairs, even if, let's say, I had a ladder that came down at a little bit of an angle like this, that still, you walk in here and the character literally is like a 5 by 5 foot room. And there's just not enough room for the character. It feels very confined and very tight. And so that's something I would probably adjust. So in my opinion, those are two factors that could be changed to make this into a better design. Especially, the other thing is that this looks really great from a 3/4 design, but outside of it being a 3/4 design, we want to be able to notch it up a teeny bit more to where we're looking at this from sort of like a front view, then we can draw it in a 3/4 view, okay? There's a reason for that. It's because 3/4 doesn't allow me to see all of this symmetry that's happening in there, right? Right. 3/4 sort of masks some of that. However, though, once you look at this, and then I look at it from the front view right here, okay, or I look at it from the side view, I realize that I can enhance part of the design or take it into another direction and give a little bit more to it. Okay, so let's do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that off, and oops, I'm going to turn that off. And what I did is I came over here. I'm going to blow this up. Okay. So what I'm going to do is a series of thumbnails right now. Let me take... excuse me for a second. Oops. I hit the wrong button. I'm going to hit duplicate and it hit... There it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this over here. And I'm going to talk about a couple different ways that I could work on top of this. Okay. So number one is that let's start with what we have here. And let me just do a couple different variations on some layers. Okay. So if that's our front view, why not? Let me get the... That's why I had my caps lock on. There we go. Okay, so imagine if I'm on this, and if I come over here, and if I start to look at my structure, why not? I mean, just as soon as I look at this, I get this vibe or this feel that what if I had this roof that's up here and it's like old and it's like swaying down in an angle like this, and even maybe part of this roof comes over here, sways down a little bit like this, and so maybe the roof comes in a little bit, and now I could come in here and I can start putting some other detail. Okay, now one of the other things that I liked versus disliked about this other drawing here, what I liked is I love how this is at an obtuse angle right there. Okay, what I didn't like was all the 90s in here. So what's a general rule? That's a 90-degree angle. 90-degree angles, they work sometimes for when we need information. However, though, they also work in perspective as good supports and foundations, but sometimes out of that, they become very stiff and they become very boring. So it's nice sometimes to get to throw a little bit of a curve and then bring it down to sort of like a little bit of a 90 on something, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take part of this design that our student's already done, he's already finished, and I want to see if I can't just add a little bit more to it somehow. And just sort of, I'm sitting here, now I'm going to start picking up the pace a little bit, right? I'm just going to try to work a little bit rougher and just see what I come up with. I like rounding windows because rounding windows sometimes can look very appealing and they add a lot to part of the design. I'm not trying to go too much detail or anything. Just trying to be really rough in here. I like that flow of the roof. I like having borders and edges on things. What I'm thinking about is somewhere about like right here. There's got to be a large doorway entrance. So I might make this a little bit more pronounced there. Okay, with that done, let me just recess it a little bit. So, oops, sorry, that's what happens. The RAM right now is being eaten up by the by Camtasia working here. So it does that sometimes. Gives me like a straight little line. Okay, there we go. All right, so we have that now. I have a door in there. Maybe I have another little, I don't know what this sort of comes up here. Maybe I just level that off a little bit. Maybe there's something on there. And then maybe over here I have another small like window. I could worry about the window. I can get the detail a little bit later. Okay. And so then I come over here and so I already looked at reference, but I was going to share the reference with you earlier. I looked at the reference to get it into my noggin, so to speak, you know, to get it into my head to figure out what it was that I wanted to do. So I'll cover that in a minute. I thought of showing that first, but then one of the things that happens when you show reference first sometimes is you scare people away. And they think that the video is all about the reference. Oops, there's that weird lag right there. And it's not about the reference all the time. Excuse me. It is about the reference, but I didn't want the video to be all focused on that. So let me just come in here. I want to sketch a little bit more. I don't know, maybe there's a stack of wood, or actually there could be a stump there with an axe on it. And there's some wood elements here, let's say. Okay, all right, so now let's come over here. Let's divide up the space a little bit. I have all this space from here to here, so let's think about a couple things that we can do. Maybe let's give this some thickness to it, so it's just not like super thin. Okay, everything needs some thickness. Maybe some of this comes out a little bit more. It's like a hay, it's a little bit more pronounced on that side. Maybe this side's just a little bit more flowing. Not as much. Maybe there's like a positive and negative patch of it coming out. Okay, So what if like right here, now this is where we need to get into like visual descriptors, where we need to start thinking about part of our story and part of our elements, because we need to look at who lives there, what they do. So I'm going to make something up really quick. I'm going to think it's an old man here that maybe sells, actually, where's my horizon line? I'm just going to go ahead and cheat it here and level that off. I want to put like a table in here. Maybe there's some goods here. Maybe there's a sign or two. Maybe there's like a wood box of stuff overlapping part of this here in the front. Okay. Maybe where this entryway is, there's like a little bit of cobblestone that comes around. Part of that. Sort of brings all this together. And then maybe here there's another little window. And maybe there's a little bit of this wall detail here. Maybe there's some of that detail here as well. It's like wood edging they would use. They'd use like a little bit of wood edging, and sometimes they put like a counter angle going in like this way, and then maybe part of this still could be some like light stone of some kind. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead, since this is just a thumbnail right here, let's just stop with what we have. Oops, that's the recorder acting up again. There. Okay, so that's what I have right now. That's my base thumbnail. Okay, so that's step one, right? So look, our goal, look, I did that in a couple of minutes, and I already have something that's working a little bit easier than what we had before. So if I was the designer and I'm the artist working on this, I'm going to do a bunch of thumbnails until I come up with the best design. So let's just talk about right now what I already like about my thumbnail. What I already like about that, and how I feel it's already working, is number one is this. Look at that. Boom. Look at the silhouette shape. The silhouette shape is magnified by like 10. See that? Look at that. I mean, that's the first thing we notice visually when we're looking at objects and we're seeing visual reads to them, is how they are reading and what is coming out of them. And right now there's a tremendous amount of information that comes out of part of that silhouette shape. That's a huge advantage for the viewer. Okay. All right. So that would be my first pass. Now I just want to, let me come back into this really quick. Let me turn that off and let me go back to this other version. Now I could go back into this and draw, but sometimes I like to do things a little bit differently. The power of digital is absolutely fantastic. So let's just, now I would prefer to do a bunch of these traditionally by just sketching and coming up with variations with what I had, like what's right here. Okay. Actually, let me merge these two together. Okay. However, though, what if I came over here? What if I was really limited on time and I needed to crank out some other ideas? How can I use Photoshop to my advantage? And this is how I could do it. So let me come over here. Let's take my lasso tool, and I'm going to select some parts of this. So I'm just using my mouse right now. Copy, paste. Let me see what happens if I bring that in here. What if I transform that guy a little bit? What if I stretch him out a little? Transform. Let's go to distort. What if I raise one edge a little bit higher right now and put that about there? If I put this in here, let me move this over a little bit more. I just want to see what I could come up with very effectively. Okay. Oops. Got to get rid of the mouse there. I don't like that window. It's too distorted. So let's go to transform and bring it back down. There, let me make it a little bit. I copied and pasted it because I'm going to use it again in a couple of minutes. Maybe I'll have a smaller version, like right here. Okay, let me take this wooden beam guy right there. Turn this in detail. Okay, and let's go back to my main layer. Here it is. Copy, paste, bring that. So what I want to do, I'm doing all this because I want to show you what you could come up with as other options to part of your design. right? I mean, that's what's really important and part of our process. And Photoshop is just a tool, you know, and it's a tool that we use that guides us through. Okay, what layer was that? Is that existing? Yes, it was. So I can use this tool as best as I can to come up with other ideas and stylization to see how things might look. And what I was thinking of was, let's steal that part from over there. Bring this here. Let's turn this in a little bit more like that. Maybe I have some type of weird overhang. Bring that up a little bit more. Bring this back down here. Go to erase. Erase the top of it so I get looks like a little bit of a pattern. And duplicate that. There, so now I have it looks like a stone. We flip that part going the other way. I'm going to make this a little bit wider here on the base. Okay. So this is, to me, this is great practice. Is just to be able to take what you already have and manipulate it and see what you come up with. Okay, so that's 7. Let me just double check the layers here. I think that's 7, 8, there. 7, 9, 10, 11. It's all, there it goes. So now that I have that as one layer, do you see, I can come in here, put that like this. I can go to transform. I can go to warp real quick. Look at that. Oh yeah. And I could warp it. I can get a little bit of distortion happening in there. Make it add a little bit more character to it. Actually, that's pretty good, but let's flip it the other way. A little bit like that. Maybe part of the base is back down here. So erase part of that. Okay. And then I want to come into this existing copy and see if I can push this back in here somehow. Make it a little bit smaller, a little bit different. Maybe just like that. Oops. Start a little bit. That's sort of cool. Actually, here I have an idea. What if I just take, oops, let's go to marquee. Okay, there. I'm going to leave this. Let me just, existing. There we go. Erase some of that. Okay. And let me hit. Okay, so there. I spent a couple minutes, all right? And look at what I have. I have two different examples here. Oops. If I can move them properly, layer 5. Come on, move. There. So look, one was copying paste using Photoshop to my advantage. The other one, I just took this one, right? So, you know, you have this ability to work. I have this in the paste memory of the computer still, so I'm going to put that down in here, you know, and now I can go back into this and I can add other elements. You know, I can come back to the original that I did right here. I could take parts of this that I want. Or I could just draw something new and different. Let me just take this. What if I just took this right here? I bring it down here. What if I transform it? What if I flip it the other way? I do this. What if I squash it a little bit more? I get that in here. And let's get it to about there. And I can come in with my pen. Oops. How did I get to red? There we go. And here, maybe this time I put the roof coming through part of this. Back onto the other side. Sorry, that's the recorder acting up again. There we go. So what I'm trying to go over here and teach you guys is the importance of doing variations and coming up with multiple ideas. And you just, you know, part of this is just having fun and you getting in there and just drawing and seeing what you come up with, you know. It's the fun part of getting to be a designer, is you get to do all these different variations, and when you least expect it, you end up getting one of the better designs that you might not. Maybe this is all wood here. You end up getting one of the better designs that you might not have thought about before. And then what if here I did have this idea of making like a large wall around part of the property that's stone, like other little stones inside it, like this maybe, type of thing. So then there's a backyard to part of the property or something. Okay, what if I change, hold on a second, let me get the right layer here. What layer are you on? 6. So what I'm going to do now is erase part of that roof. And I want to match. Let me take this chimney. I want to bring it a little bit more to the side. Let's scale it down a little bit, put it on this side. And then let's go back to our brush now. There, and I'm going to change that roof a little bit. Okay. So let me see, this is layer. Let's commit to our layers. We have layer 7 and layer 6. Let's merge those together. Now it's on 1. There, let me just take that window right there. Copy and paste. Let's bring that window over here. Let's put it in over here a little bit. Make it a little bit taller and thinner. And this is further in the back, so I'll make that a lot tinier. A little bit of a rotate on that. Drop, oops, where'd my cursor go? Drop the opacity down a little bit more. There we go. And let's merge all that together. So I have layer 6, 8, 7, there. Now it's all in one layer. Okay, there. So it took me a couple more minutes. So look at that variation now. I like that because it has a different roof. It has this other structure. It has something over here. So do you see what I'm doing, guys? This is my goal right now, is to keep going into this and doing these multiple variations to see what I come up with. What I'm doing, this is the key factor here, is I'm designing small. Okay, is actually, let me rephrase that. I'm designing big. I'm not drawing big. I'm drawing small, but I'm doing multiple designs. They're going to lead me to a better outcome and conclusion. Okay, with that said and done, there's one last thing. Let me pause the recorder really quick. That way it's magic and you don't have to wait. All right, I'm back. I stopped for a minute, and what I was going to do is I wanted to put some gray in underneath to show you how the silhouettes read. And then my ADHD kicked in and I had another idea. And what I decided to do was I thought, what if I take this design that's right here What if I copy and paste them together, draw a little bit on top, and then I'm sorry, I forgot the recorder wasn't on, and this is what I ended up with. So boom, there it is. So you see that? I took this design here, I took the roof, I put it on this side, I copied and pasted the roof again, I put a smaller little building here, I then copied and pasted the fireplaces and put it around, and then I took this little square building right here, I put that on top, okay? Then, now that I'm all done with that, and let me merge those two, I then went on top of it with a little bit of gray. Hold on, I need to move that drawing over a little bit so it sits where it was. There it is, that's how I had it. Okay, so, and then I came back on top of it like you see right now, and hold on, that's, uh-oh, okay, 1 second. Hold on, let me just fix this. What happened is that, let me fix this. This is not, that needs to go to normal, and then they're all normal. Sorry, I made one little mistake. Then I'm going to take these, merge these together, go layers, and now I'm going to put them on a multiply. Ha, there we go. So now you can see the tone underneath them, and I always go back and put tone on something. And the reason why I do is that it allows you to see the silhouette, allows you to get a better read. When you're looking, look at the difference. Boom, your white paper, oh my God, it's too bright. Your eyes can't really see the flow. With a little bit of tone, and then if I lower this opacity a little bit lighter, do you see how nice that is? Makes it stand off the page a little bit more. You can see the flow. So this would be my suggestion for my student that was working on his work, is I would go back in and do some renditions like this. You can see this didn't take me too long. I'm about 22 minutes into this. That's averaging about 5 minutes per little sketch. I would do another page and then see where I'm at, and then I would go from there. And this is the reason why we do this. As you can see, is that every time I move across, okay, going from one to another and one to another, my designs get better. So if I did another page, I'm even going to end up with even some better looking options. And one thing that's really great about working in our industry is that when you're working with an art director or a director or a supervisor, you want to provide them options. You want to show them that you are not a one-trick pony jumping in doing one design. You want to be able to give them multiple options from a rough standpoint and then let them make their decision. Okay, so before I wrap this part up here, what I decided to save for the end is the most important part to me, which is the part that everyone wants to ignore and skip, and that's this. The first thing that I did here is I came and I grabbed a ton of reference, okay? So before I started drawing, I made sure that I had all of this reference right here. Hold on a minute. Sorry, I wish the Windows viewer worked as easy as a Mac did, okay, but it doesn't. So what I did is I went through and I gathered some reference, and let's go over that reference together. And I'll tell you what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for inside here is what I call like points of detail or visual descriptors. So what's really important? So every time I look at a piece, so the three things that ring off in my head when I see this piece is look at the roof, the flow on the roof, bitchin'. Number 2, I like the windows. Number 3, I like the stone. Number 4, the wall. Boom, write those things down. You can't remember everything. So I go to my next piece here. Okay, old rickety rooftop. Man, that's like in the middle of the desert somewhere, sort of spooky. I like the wood, the vertical wood beams up here. And that's really about it. I like the cornice. Okay, sorry, keeping the stupid windows thing. But there's not really too much to that I like. I found this at somebody's model. I like the angle here that it's offset. I like the rafters on the top. The roof's too straight to me. I want more curve and more flow in it. I came across this. Sorry, it's a little blurry. This is an actual picture of like an old cottage in England. I love the stone. I love the little dormer up on top here. So again, boom, you should be writing all this stuff down. It's going to influence the way that you draw and design. When I look at this, I like the stone in there. I like this idea of a symmetrical fireplace. So here's the fireplace being offset by 2 windows. That's sort of cool. Okay. All right. So every piece of reference that I look at, I'm gathering something new from. This was great because this is traditional old European where they had like this white plaster and they put a dark wood in between that. And what I really like is look at the curves in there. Look at the curves in that wood. Look at how they break up the space and the symmetry by using that wood for detail. That's huge. That is a giant descriptor I should have where I'm bringing that into part of my design process. Okay, so this guy, sort of weird, is like a silo up here. But what I did like about this, sorry the reference is so blurry, But what I did like is it's on multiple levels. I have a level down here. I have stairs to go up. I have something here. I have an upstairs. So I have 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4 different levels there that are working pretty well. Okay, so that's awesome. So again, write these little things down. What I loved about this piece of reference, look at that chimney. This whole thing is made from giant pieces of stack stone. It's beautiful. Okay, look at this. Oh my God, I just want to take that right now and draw on top of it. Look at how bitchin' this is. There are stairs back here, a door here, an overhang here, secondary level in the back here, main roof here, another main roof for a second story going in an opposite angle with the chimney with another element. You couldn't make that up. Even though that's a little blurry, that is worth its weight in gold right there because there's a ton of information in there. Okay, I came across that. Yep, that's somebody's 3D model, but you know what? Usually, the great thing about a 3D model is that, number one, the modelers had to spend a tremendous amount of time to figure out the detail and the reference in there. And also, it's done, it gives you a finished look, and there's things you could take from that. Now, I'm a little iffy about that bend in there, but I do like that bend if it wasn't such a straight roof. If I had more of a flowing roof with tile and I broke some of those straight edges, I could come across and get some really fun designs in there. The other thing I don't like from a design standpoint is that it's all the same stone front. You know, break it up a little bit. Have stone on the lower section that's heavier. Have thinner stone. Have this separated by some wood and trim and edge detail. That would make it a better design in the long run. Okay? All right. So, okay, sorry, finally changed it. All right, so now that's the basics of a cottage and a farmhouse. However, though, what happens now when I go look at a farmhouse and a cottage from Greece? Okay, so look at this. And I had to pick this because when I would go back to Greece to visit family, I remember the very distinctive feel and look of how they would use thin pieces of granite and slate for the roof tile. And look at the white on the edge. Look at that ended pillar with thick stone. So that gives me a lot of information that's there. Here's another one with thin stone up on top. I like that round little port right there. I like the tall vertical windows, like the thick stone on the edge. Okay, you should be writing all of that stuff down, these visual descriptors, right? Then I went and looked at the difference. What about Russia? What happens if I go look at Russia and I look at an old farmhouse? So again, every culture is going to make their buildings based off of numerous things. They're going to be based off of religious preference. They're going to be based off of the land and what's available. Obviously, the resources are going to go into there. So you need to think about these things. What is the cultural background? What's the significance? Does it tie into religion? Is it, you know, an old guy living on a peasant farm, and there are a bunch of farmers that use hand tools, so they're going to have lots of things crafted out of wood. I mean, all of these things play an important detail. And yes, all of this reference here is from Russia. Okay, look at the ornate Russian Orthodox faith, right? Look at all this detailed ornate elements back here, and look at, you know, look it up here. I mean, this looks like it could be Americana, but it's not. It's Russian. Okay, look at the walkway that comes in here with a separate overhang. It's beautiful. Okay, so you need to look at this reference and find things that really interest you, and then write those little descriptors down on a piece of paper. Look at this. Look, I mean, I know it's really detailed, but look at this little ornate element right here, and look at how it connects into here, and that comes up. Look at that nice trapezoid shape of that roof overhang that ties into that window right there with the little detail in here. Man, that's like a little bit of, you know, old style Victorian meets Orthodox meets, you know, Eastern European, all comes together, and boom, that's what you get. You know, you're not going to get that out of your head. You have to get that from reference. And there's another picture of that house from another angle. Quite beautiful. Sorry, it's a little low res, but that's the best I could find. Look at that front window we were just looking at. Then look at this, how there's a little dormer, just a little teeny dormer there. And then you have this other old, you know, angled front here. So you have 1, 2, 3 different styles. Then look at this roof point that comes up to a point. Look at the straight edge roof in the back. Are you kidding me? That's gold information right there in terms of visual descriptors. So much good information. Again, another log cabin house built in Russia. Okay, great information there. Okay, and then last, I went back and I looked for Swedish. No, excuse me, I have 2 more. I looked for old Swedish farmhouses and cottages, and this is what I found. Okay, so again, there's that wood detail that we see a lot in Germany and in some of the Scandinavian countries. Again, look at the nice cobblestoned road, nice detail. Here's a cool one. Look at one a chimney there, a different chimney there. Look at how it goes straight. And then there's a sag right in there. The other thing I like is the planter, a nice round planter in the front. That's a great idea. Might be a place where an owner might put vegetables or whatever, easy access to them. And then I like the little flower boxes right here. So these are all elements you need to be writing down. That one, didn't really do it for me, except I like the basement element there. This is beautiful. Old Swedish house. I love this idea of the chairs. Isn't that unique? Like a wood branch with a wood going across it with a sag in the middle. Absolutely fantastic there. Okay, so again, all these different cultures, all these different backgrounds, your goal is to look for and find something unique, blend them all together. And the last thing I did is I came in here and I typed in Viking designs or Viking cottages and farmhouses. Okay, and what do you know? Look at what I found. Beautiful curved. So again, we're talking about a culture limited to the resources at hand. They have some trees, but they would even take grass and they would, they would take, let me go back there. They would take grass and throw grass up over the top and act as a waterproof roofing. Really great idea. Would even grow up between the dirt and the tree branches, and it could even become fully green on there because they have those misty, nice, cold mornings. Look at the wood here. Look at that detail, how the wood comes down and swerves out a little bit here. Okay, look at that to let the smoke out from when there's a fire inside. Look at the wood edging going this way and that way. So, you know, cobblestone road. All these little elements. Look at that. That looks like, look at that beautiful snake up there carved down. That looks like the bottom of a boat, but switched, right? Probably is. And when you think about it, there are good craftsmen and wood builders. Why not incorporate what you've learned from building boats into your homes, right? And I love the stone. Look at the thick stone just stacked up there. Has a nice sort of defensive, protective perimeter. Wouldn't that be great? That's going to be great when it's snowing and it's cold, so you don't have all the snow piling up against the side of the house and then the snow going against the house with all that cold air coming into it. So another great descriptor right there to put down. Look at this, man. Talk about multiple levels. You know, look at that. That's beautiful. So all of these elements need to go into your design. What about a dock incorporated into part of the house? Why not? So again, I wanted to cover that last part because before I started drawing today, I went and looked at my reference, and I want to incorporate that to my students because, you know, someone who's been in the industry for 17 years and now working as a teacher and professor, my biggest qualm with students is they think they can get away. They think they're smarter than everybody, and they think they don't have to do the reference. They think they don't have to go in there and spend time and look at, you know, and get that influential feedback and learn about visual descriptors. Think about your story. In fact, what would even be better from a design standpoint is before you start drawing your house, you should go through and start thinking about what country is it in? Who lives in my house? How old are they? Do they have a family? Do they have kids? What do they do for a living? Are they a hunter? Do they sell bread? Are they into pottery? You know, is it what country is it in? All these factors are design elements that need to come out into your design process. End of story right there. So before you jump in and start sketching, the smartest thing to do is to go back and get the reference. In this video, I put the reference at the end because I tend to lose people that get tired of looking at the reference when in fact they're missing the point, which is the reference is more important than the drawing because that gives you a stepping stone to move from. All right? Cool. Have fun. Keep on designing. Keep on drawing. And I'll talk to you guys a little later. All right? Bye.